The world kept quiet for more than 10 years as one of Hollywood's biggest stars seemed to drift farther and further away from his only daughter. And now the silence is over for good. The truth about their separation weighs much more than anyone thought. Suri Null, whose real name was Suri Cruz, was born famous, but she didn't want it. A child was known right away everywhere she went, even when she just wanted to live like every other child. Her childhood was hidden from the chaos of cameras behind high walls. There were also big secrets around her that she was too young to understand. And now that she's 19, she's finally speaking, but not with words. She's doing strong things in her life. People are shocked because it looks like every move she makes is a secret message to her dad. The picture-perfect family that used to walk the red carpet with big smiles on their faces is long gone, leaving behind a story full of heartbreak and open questions. This is the secret story of a girl who watched her father from afar as a child, and of a father who watched her slowly fade away from his life. It started out like a Disney movie. Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise met in 2005, and their spark set the whole business is on fire. Their link was made right away. There was no denying their energy, and the news spread like wildfire before the relationship had even had a chance to take a breath. Katie, who was only 26 at the time, was so happy about her Dawson's Creek fame. A young actor with a lot of charm, drive, and energy that made everyone want to cheer for her. Tom was 43 years old at the time and had been one of the biggest stars in entertainment for decades. There's Mission Impossible, Top Gun, and Jerry Maguire. He was a star in Hollywood. For Katie, this wasn't just another crush on a singer. In her eyes, it was fate. She told 17 magazine years before they met that her dream was to marry Tom Cruise one day. A lot of people just thought it was a silly dream. But when they met in real life, something crazy took place. The story goes that Tom told his team, "I'm going to marry her." After that, things moved quickly. It's almost going too fast. In just a few weeks, their relationship was all over the news. Their chemistry was hot. They lit up every room they walked into, and soon they couldn't be separated. In Rome, they walked around holding hands, laughing together, and acting like no one else was there. It looked like even Tom Cruise, who is known for being very private, had been sucked into a storm that he couldn't control. Every look, every smile, and every public moment screamed love. But there was something more going on behind all that glitz. Not what anyone expected. Then there was a moment that everyone stopped and looked. It was a scene that no one will ever forget when Tom Cruise went on Oprah Winfrey's show and yelled, "I'm in love," as she jumped onto the couch. It became one of the most talked about TV scenes right away. Everyone was shocked. Some people saw pure, passionate love, while others thought it was just plain weird. One thing was clear, though. No one could turn their eyes away. Soon after that event that made headlines, their love story hit its peak. Their daughter Suri was born on April 18, 2006, and she became the live symbol of their quick-fire romance right away. Tom said that the day she was born was the best day of his life and that she was a miracle. But even that beautiful part had a twist that went all the way back to how his world was built. How much he loves Scientology. Katie grew up in a small town in Toledo and was raised Catholic. All of a sudden, she had to get used to a whole new world where secrets, strict beliefs, and authority were the norm. Scientology practices were said to have been used during her pregnancy and birth, such as the famous silent birth, in which no one was allowed to speak during the delivery. The theory said that the goal was for the baby to come into the world completely calm. Tom even bought his own personal sonogram machine so he could check on the baby from home. This made a lot of people in Hollywood look twice. People from the outside thought it was too much and even controlling. But Tom saw it as a matter of love and protecting his growing family. He did everything out of love, but he did it in his own very intense way. There were so many beautiful things about their wedding that it looked like it came straight from a royal storybook. It happened in a beautiful Italian castle called Odiscoli Castle, which was built in the 1400s and is in Bracciano, close to Rome. Reports say the event cost more than $3 million. Katie looked stunning in a handmade Giorgio Armani dress, and Tom was beaming with pride next to her. There were famous people at the wedding, like Jennifer Lopez, Will Smith, and David and Victoria Beckham. It was one of the fanciest weddings Hollywood had ever seen. The flashes went off, and the couple smiled for everyone to see. But not everyone was happy. Katie's. Martin Holmes and Kathleen Holmes were worried from the start. They were devout Catholics and didn't fully understand the new world their daughter had joined. They were afraid that it could make their daughter and granddaughter feel alone. Sadly, they had good reason to be worried. From behind the cameras, the once exciting love story started to feel different. It felt safer, more controlled, and a lot less free. What began as a love was now filled with rules, limits, and the stress of following a strong set of beliefs. Tom really thought that everything he did was because of, and a reason to live. But for Katie, that same place started to feel like a cage over time. And for Suri, it was the start of a life that would be different from any other Hollywood kids. The Cruz Holmes family still looked perfect to the public in 2007. They walked the red carpet, posed for beautiful magazine covers, and flew around the world on private jets. For many, they were the ideal family. But there were cracks starting to show below that shiny top, and no one knew how deep they went. Friends began to talk about how Katie almost never went somewhere by herself. Every time she went outside, there is always someone close, and it's usually someone from Tom's group or the church. From the outside, they didn't look like guardians. They moved slowly and blended in with the background, always keeping an eye on things. People looked at her every move, even when she was just going for a coffee or having dinner with friends. Katie said something that made everyone at the table cold one night while they were having dinner with reporter Maureen Orth. When fans came up to her and asked for a quick picture, she smiled and said something that caught everyone off guard. "We don't go outside very often." Even though it sounded like a joke, people who knew how she controlled her surroundings knew exactly what she meant. Meanwhile, Tom stayed as intense and sure of himself as ever. He was a man who was totally loyal to his faith and would not change his mind about what he believed. He became one of the most well-known and vocal Scientology supporters, defending the religion in public and proudly promoting its beliefs. It wasn't just religion to him. It gave his discipline order, meaning, and a reason for being what it was. Katie, on the other hand, started to feel like she couldn't cross that same building without losing herself. Her parents watched from the sides and became more and more worried as their happy daughter seemed to hide behind perfectly posed pictures and polite smiles. It became clear over time that this fairy tale wasn't meant to last. Katie's parents have always been uncomfortable about the strange structure of their daughter's new life. There was something about the way everything was secret that made them feel uneasy. They stopped coming over less and less often as the years went by. They were no longer sure how to get in touch with her. It looked like their daughter was slowly going behind a wall that they couldn't get past. It was seen by friends too. Katie's voice started to sound different, like it was made up. When she talked about her husband, she always said the same thing: "He's extraordinary. He's great." Like someone who was trying to tell herself that everything was fine. Little by little, the spark that had made her such a popular actress was going out. At the same time, Bella and Connor, Tom's adopted children with Nicole Kidman, were already very involved in Scientology and devotedly following its paths. It made sense to Tom that his youngest daughter, Suri, would grow up in the same religion. But Katie thought that meant giving up her freedom and the freedom of her children. She wasn't ready to give up that much power, especially to a system she didn't fully understand yet. She started to pull back because of this. Slowly, quietly, and with a lot of thought. By 2010, people were talking about it. Katie was said to feel trapped and stuck in a life that didn't feel like hers longer. She stopped going to some church events and started spending more time in New York and seeing old friends. Not near the tight routine that ruled her life in Los Angeles. But this wasn't distance behind the scenes. It was getting ready. Katie wasn't wandering around mindlessly. She was getting details, making a plan, and carefully setting up something that wouldn't fail if it did. By 2011, it was easy to see the cracks. When she was in public, her smile looked tighter, her talks were shorter, and her body language said a lot. The woman used to be known for how easy she was to get along with. It looked like someone was cautiously walking through glass. When people saw her holding her daughter's hand just a little too tightly, they didn't know she was getting ready to leave. Then there was June 29, 2012, when Hollywood stopped talking. It was official. Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise were no longer married. The timing was strange. It came at him like a wave, just days before his 50th birthday. It looked sudden to everyone else. Of course, insiders quickly. I learned that this wasn't a wild move. It was planned, thought out, and came about because it had to. In a later interview, Tom said he didn't see it coming. There was a quiet, "It hit me hard. Life can do that to you." While he was dealing with his grief, Katie had already carried out one of the most well-planned splits Hollywood had ever seen. She moved like she was aware that everyone was watching her. She changed phones, hired new security, and even fired staff members she thought might be able to report back to. There are important people in Tom's circle. Every step was planned out like a secret mission. Martin Holmes, her father,